Hi, how's it going? Today we're out here, we're going to test the most powerful 22 long rifle cartridges. If you don't want to sit through the whole video, that's fine. I'm going to leave a link in the description for a spreadsheet with all the results. So, what we brought is a sampling of all of the highest power 22 long rifles that I know about, or at least that I know about here in Canada, and that I can find. So all of these have an advertised energy of over 180 foot-pounds. So that's what we're testing for. We're going to test velocities, and then we're going to calculate the foot-pounds afterwards. So I've brought the CCI Stingers, CCI Velocitors, Aguila Interceptors hollow points, Interceptor solid points, Aguila Super Maximums. These particular ones are the hollow points. I couldn't find the solid points. That was one of the ones I couldn't find, but they should be pretty similar. The Winchester Super X, Hypervelocity, the Browning BPI, and as a couple of controls, I've just got some standard mini-mag 40 grain solids and our standard velocity from CCI as well. So, and we are gonna, not only are we gonna test the velocity of all these seven, sorry, I'm also gonna test them in 3 different barrel lengths. So I've got a standard 1022 with an 18.5 inch barrel. This particular one just has a Hogue stock and tech sights. This is an aftermarket 1022 with a 12.5 inch barrel. There actually isn't any Ruger parts on here. If anyone's interested, the top is from Birch, which is a company that used to be here in Canada. It's now in the US. And the receiver is from SBI, which is also a Canadian company, if anyone's interested. And lastly, just our 5.5 inch Ruger Mark IV pistol. Okay, checking my notes here. So we're going to do, we're also going to test a little bit of accuracy. Now it's going to be relative accuracy to each other. Obviously I don't have any scopes on these, so these are just the accuracy that I can get resting on my bean bags out here. But they should be relative to each other, which is something interesting to know. I guess we'll also inherently be checking the reliability of all these different types of ammunitions in these 3 firearms. What we'll not be testing is downrange performance. Like, don't get this isn't going to tell us what they would be able to do on some sort of target, or in any sort of ballistics gel, or terminal performance. We're just out here nerding out on the numbers to find out their pure energy on paper. Alright, so this is all just for fun. So I won't make you sit through all of them, because that's going to be a few hundred shots. But I will go ahead and test one of the ammo here on camera with all 3 of the guns. The one that I've chosen to show is the Interceptor solid points. I figure that's, on paper at least, that one is going to be the most powerful. So I figure I'll show that one on camera. And if we're wrong, well, I'll come back at the end and share my results. But for now, I'm just going to shoot the Interceptor in all 3 guns, and we'll see how we go. So we'll start with the 18.5 inch. If anyone's interested, the average velocity on that was 1,394. Alright, we'll test the same Interceptor solid points out of the 12.5 inch barrel. finally, out of the 5.5 inch Ruger Mark IV. Here we go. Alright, so I'm going to continue on with this test, and I'll get back to you with the results when I'm done. Alright, it's been a couple of days and we're back home, and we have the results. Unfortunately, when I was taking the velocities for the 12.5 inch barrel, the chronograph started giving me false readings. I was getting way too high of readings. Suddenly it jumped up about 100 feet per second. So unfortunately we didn't get any of the results from the 12.5 inch barrel, but I figure a lot of you probably don't have a 12.5 inch barrel, so the longer barrel and the pistol are the ones you're more interested in. As well, I misspoke at the beginning. I said that the receiver on the 12.5 inch was an SBI. I called the SBI the receiver. I misspoke, my apologies. The SBI was the chassis, just the stock that it was in. Anyway, moving on. So, should we do a countdown, or should I just tell you the highest one? I'm just going to tell you the highest one. Like I said, I'm going to include all these in the description. So, our most powerful, at least that day in my guns on that chronograph, was the Velocitors. They had a speed of 1,417.6, which comes out to a energy of 179 foot-pounds. So that was our most powerful round that we tested. In a close second, with 176 foot-pounds, is the Interceptor hollow point. That one was quite far from its advertised velocity of 1470. It was actually only 1406. Quite a far off. Close behind, or actually equal that, was the Super Maximums. They were 176 foot-pounds as well. And our Interceptor solid points, the ones that we actually showed on camera, were 172 foot-pounds, or 1,392 feet per second. And on any given day, I think those three Aguilas and the Velocitor, they could probably all be more or less equal, or one could win over the other. But on that particular day, the Velocitor was the winner. And not only was it the winner with the 18.5 inch barrel, it was the winner with the pistol as well. With the pistol, it came out to 1,250 feet per second, which translates to 139 foot-pounds out of a 5.5 inch pistol, which is pretty good. And then the three Aguilas were close behind. Let's see. I'll leave the rest of the results for you to read. Those are the highlights. As for our accuracy testing, or I should say our inaccuracy testing, they all did pretty bad with me with those guns. Usually I can shoot my standard velocities and mini mags out of those two rifles about 3 MOA. Again, they're just open sights, there's no magnification, resting on a beanbag. I'll get 3 MOA generally. With those I got about 4 MOA, and those were actually the best ones. Our best group out of the 18.5 inch barrel was, make sure I get this right, was the Velocitors, believe it or not, with a group of 1.007 inches, or 3.848 MOA, so just under 4 MOA. And our mini-mags and standard velocities were just behind that. They were both just under 4 MOA as well, so those were actually the three best in the 18.5 inch. In the 12.5 inch, very surprisingly, the best was the Winchesters. It got a 3.611 MOA, or a group of 0.945 inches. That was actually 9 out of the 10 shots though. There was a flyer that was about 2 inches off. I'm going to assume that was me, and I cut that one out. But as far as consistency, the standard velocities were the best. In both barrels they got just under 4 MOA, and with the other barrels, with the 12.5 inch barrel, they were slightly over 4. 4 MOA. So best average actually was the standard velocity, and of the Hypervelocities, the Velocitors had the best average. So interesting. So not only were the Velocitors the most powerful that day, they were actually the most accurate. But again, take these accuracies with a big grain of salt. Like I said, they were all over 4 MOA. Between 4 and 7, which one got 7? Our Interceptor solid points out of the 18.5 inch barrel got a 7.2 MOA or a 1.885 inch group. These were all at 25 yards, remember. So take my accuracy results with a grain of salt. Like I said, it was all going to be relative accuracy. With the pistol ones, they were all between 2 and 3 inches of the group, and I suppose that's all fine for pistols. As for reliability, we had no malfunctions at all with the 18.5 inch barrel. With our pistol, I had a couple of stoppages with the Velocitors. I think I just didn't load the magazines quite right, and they were pointed up and they were hitting the top of the insides, and they weren't going into the breech properly. So I'm going to chalk that up to mag loading. Same thing happened with one of the mini mags in the pistol, and I had one Browning and one mini mag stovepipe in the 12.5 inch barrel. So pretty good. I'm not going to complain about those results. I think that's about all I can say. I had fun making them. Like I said, on any given day, the 3 Aguilas and the Velocitor is probably the winner. Just happened to be today was the Velocitor, and also with the accuracy, which was kind of cool. I was pretty happy with those results. I find Velocitors are probably they're my favorite. I do have a bias. They are my favorite. I find them they're usually the easiest to find in the stores. They're not the cheapest. The Winchesters and the Brownings are cheaper. The Aguilas are all the most expensive, and then the Velocitors and the Stingers are kind of in the middle. So I'm pretty happy that the Velocitor came out on top on that one. So anyway, thank you for your time, everybody, and have a good one.